Here's Brody Brazil.
Given its relevance to the A's and to Las Vegas and Clark County and the state of Nevada and baseball fans here in Northern California, I thought it really might be a good idea to go over Senate Bill 509. It's very detailed. It's very complicated. But yeah, it's super important in a lot of different regards. And it's going to be brought up officially for the first time today, some public commentary. The Senate and the Assembly will both review it, and it is the document that's either going to get public funding of about a $380 million value to the A's to help with construction of a ballpark project or not at the Tropicana Hotel site. So let's dive into what is a 44-page document. Look at all that text. It is not that simple. Here's essentially what it prescribes. And get used to the term SB509. In the next week, it's probably going to be one of your bigger search terms. It is an act relating to economic development, enacting the Southern Nevada Tourism Innovation Act, amending the Southern Nevada Tourism Improvements Act, requiring the establishment in Clark County of a sports and entertainment improvement district for the financing of a Major League Baseball stadium project, authorizing the Clark County Stadium Authority to carry out the provisions of law governing the Major League Baseball stadium project, requiring the creation of a resort corridor homelessness prevention and assistance fund, authorizing the pledge of certain taxes, fees, and charges for the payment of bonds and other purposes relating to the financing of the Major League Baseball stadium project, authorizing the state treasurer to provide a credit enhancement on bonds issued to finance the construction of the Major League Baseball stadium project, requiring the issuance of general obligations of Clark County for the financing of a Major League Baseball stadium project under certain circumstances, authorizing the issuance of transferable tax credits to developer partners for qualified projects relating to the Major League Baseball stadium project, making an appropriation and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Yeah, so you can see it's 44 pages of language just like that, and most definitely a lot to digest. Let's take a step back from this for just 1 second. I mentioned it's going to be brought up and discussed today, Memorial Day 2023. These are some tweets from Tabitha Muller, great reporter from the Nevada Independent. Her and Howard have been just absolutely all over every story, every angle. They've been first to report it. They've been most accurate all along. But Tabitha's been responding to a lot of people on Twitter who are asking about this process. Like, we are all very much unfamiliar with Nevada government and politics. So here's a couple things that she said that I wanted to pass along. Note, the joint meeting between the Assembly and the Senate of Nevada later on today means that SB 509 will only get one hearing. It's a $380 million commitment by the state and by Clark County, and one hearing. Wow. The bill still needs to pass out of both committees, right, with the Senate and the Assembly, and receive a passing vote from members of the Senate and Assembly before it reaches the governor's desk. She also says, I'm getting questions about why SB 509 is scheduled for Monday, today. Remember, it's not Memorial Day at the Leg. It's the Monday before. I've already done the research on this. Synadia. I did not know how to say that.
Synadia.
The Monday before Synadia. There are no holidays as the session ends. I'm hearing that this was scheduled on Monday because it's the first possible day to hear it. So, important to know that although all of this came together on Friday night of a holiday weekend, and it's going to be heard the one and only time on a holiday, it's not abnormal, but for those of us not in the mix, I mean, it does seem weird. Here's a couple things I wanted to pull out of SB 509. The A's are actually never referenced as the MLB team in all of the language here. And I know you think that might be weird too, but I went back and looked at SB 1 of the special session of 2016. It was the Raiders deal, and it was the same thing. The Oakland or Las Vegas Raiders were never mentioned. The Raiders by name were never mentioned. You can see here it says Baseball Stadium Events Company, as referred to in this document, means a person whose business is organized under the laws of this state for the purpose of leasing Major League Baseball stadium project from the Stadium Authority, and whose business is owned by the Major League Baseball team or its affiliate, a developer partner or its affiliate, or the Major League Baseball team or its affiliate, and a developer partner of an affiliate or an affiliate of a developer partner. Oh my gosh. I guess it's got to cover, all bases. Hey, baseball term. But it's so wordy, this entire document. But just so you know, like the A's in this document are never actually mentioned. The location is initially not mentioned. It does not tie down a location from the very beginning. It does tie it down, you'll see in the next step, but it allows an MLB team to locate or to relocate in this certain specified or maybe even unspecified district. So this can be passed. SB509 can be passed without actually knowing where said stadium project is going to be. Within 12 months after the effective date of this act, or if the board determines that an extension of this period is necessary or desirable within 18 months after that effective date, finds that Major League Baseball has authorized the Major League Baseball team to locate or relocate within the Sports and Entertainment Improvement District. And you'll see that a lot too. Actually, it was also in the Raiders SB1 of Special Session 2016. So it offers flexibility. I think just in the case of the A's who have already gone through 2 sites in about 6 weeks, it brings up a lot of questions, but certainly it needs to be understood if this is passed, it's still possible for the site to ultimately change again. Now, the language on that kind of changes when it gets to coming to a development agreement. That's when a site must be identified. You see a development agreement for Major League Baseball stadium project entered into by the Stadium Authority with the developer partner, blah, 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 blah. It's got to be Major League Baseball stadium project to be consistent with first-class premier Major League Baseball facilities in operation or approved for construction by Major League Baseball. And right there, 2A, identify the site of the project. Also this, which I found interesting, set forth the overall design, scope, and specifications of the project, which must include, without limitation, an enclosed baseball stadium. Now, here's where we're getting into the legal side versus the baseball guy side. Now, when you say enclosed, I'm thinking roof that stays shut, or maybe they're talking about retractable roof, or maybe by enclosed, like they mean a stadium that has bleachers and goes all the way around the field. I don't know what enclosed means. With an attendance capacity of approximately 30,000 persons. Now, in recent days, we've heard it's 30,000, expandable just a little bit, but that to me clearly states 30,000 total spectators at this venue. So again, to be clear, a site eventually has to be picked, but only for the development agreement with the Stadium Authority. The developer, in this case the A's, are responsible for cost overruns. Any and all development and construction cost overruns for the development and construction of the project must be the sole responsibility of the developer partner, except that any cost overrun must not be the responsibility of the developer partner if the cost overrun is caused by a change in development or construction mandated by the Stadium Authority after the execution of the development agreement. Basically to say that if something has to change and it's not the A's fault as the developer, that's not on them, but anything that's as planned and costs more goes on them. Simple as that. And you can see there's some more language there. Look, and here's the thing about this video. I'm pointing out the most obvious parts. I'm also not pointing out the numbers and the details because those stretch way too long. Highly encourage you to just go visit this document online at the Nevada Legislature's website. I should probably link to it down below. Personal seat licenses are referenced here. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be a thing. It's not unheard of in baseball. In fact, the Giants did that initially for Pac-Bell Park. A couple others have around baseball over the years. More of a football thing. I don't know if that means it's implemented here or if it's just the protection in case somebody wants it to happen. Section 27 of this bill requires the Stadium Authority to retain the sole and exclusive right to enter into agreements for the sale, license, or transfer of personal seat licenses stadium builders licenses, or other similar instruments for any and all seats in the Major League Baseball stadium project to generate revenues for the construction of the Major League Baseball stadium project. So again, maybe that's just a future-proofing part of it, but personal seat licenses are definitely referenced in this document, SB509. The stadium authority must approve any sale of the team. Now, that's normally not a limitation that owner of any professional sports team can just sell their team. Now, usually it's pending league approval, but that's more understood, right? The league can approve or deny the sale. But in this case, a totally separate entity like the stadium authority, which you would think the team and the government, local government, has a really good relationship with, but the stadium authority itself must approve any sale, any future sale of the team. Section K here says, state that a person owning a controlling ownership interest in the baseball stadium events company may sell or otherwise transfer the person's ownership interest to a related or unrelated third party only upon the approval of the stadium authority, and that the stadium authority must not unreasonably withhold such approval. And I suppose, too, that could also be that could be an estate type situation. You have to think of everything here, right? It's not just a sale. Maybe sell or otherwise transfer, right? If you were giving the team or passing the team on to somebody, and I think that might be a cut and paste type part of the document. Again, I don't think this is just specific to the A's in a situation like this. In fact, I wonder if the Raiders also had that similar language. I didn't look that part up, but you understand that it's just another factor of potential sale or not if the A's were to ever go up for sale down the road after the stadium authority agreement had happened. They would have to be part of the approval process before the sale happened. Okay, the A's are on the hook to pay the first $100 million of the project costs. Section 2 here saying, except as otherwise provided in this act, the contribution of the stadium authority to the cost of the development and construction of the Major League Baseball stadium project must be proportional in terms of amount. Contemporaneous? Did I say that right? Contemporaneous. In terms of timing and similar in terms of risk profile to the contribution of the cost of the development and construction of the project by the developer partner. And finally, the developer partner shall pay the initial $100 million. Did I say $100,000 before? No, $100 million of the costs of the Major League Baseball stadium project. The initial $100 million of the stadium project. Okay, there's also going to be a homelessness prevention fund created after the stadium is built, and also only paid off or paid to, contributed to, after a number of different things are paid for. You can see that is listed here, sections A through G. Well, I'm showing you section H, or paragraph H, excuse me. It says here, from the proceeds remaining after the payments required by paragraphs A to G, so basically after everything else is paid off, and here's what's left, and upon completion of the Major League Baseball stadium project, so this does not initially happen, it only happens after the stadium is built, to make contributions to the Resort Corridor Homelessness Prevention and Assistance Fund in an amount equal to at least $5 million per fiscal year as adjusted annually pursuant to subsection 7. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is not a $5 million donation, shall we say, contribution, probably the better word. It's not a contribution to be made necessarily by the team. I think, in the way I'm interpreting this is $5 million per year, but to come out of the taxes and the other revenues after everything else is paid back, like the bonds are serviced as they're supposed to be, after everything else is covered. There's also a kind of a slush fund for improvements, and I think that's also $5 million per year that they just stash away to make, kind of like what a homeowners association does. They stash away the money for future things they'll need to tackle. But after all that's paid off, I think it's all the taxes and revenue. I don't think this $5 million is coming from any private entity. So they're basically just rerouting $5 million of tax money and saying that this is the area that they're choosing to contribute it to. And I got to be honest, I asked all along, there was a community benefits package all set to go for the A's as part of the Howard Terminal project. And we had heard absolutely nothing about community benefits improving or being assisted by a project this large. And it turns out this is the one and only thing as far as we can see. And it's $5 million, and it comes from public tax money, and it goes straight to that, to improve the area around the stadium and around the Strip. It's a very specific give back. I mean, there's a lot of things like, I'll leave it at this. Education in the state of Nevada is 49th out of 50 states. So we'll move on here. Site is property tax exempt from the state of Nevada. Section C here, except as otherwise provided in this paragraph, all land, improvements, and other property of any kind included in the total cost of the Major League Baseball Stadium project pursuant to paragraph H of subsection 1 of section 34 of this act shall be the sole and exclusive property of the Stadium Authority. So the Stadium Authority takes ownership of it and shall be exempt from ad valorem property taxes in this state. The provisions of this paragraph do not apply to, I forget what else it says. But that's why, and it's not just the A's, a lot of teams turn over the actual stadium during a 30-year kind of like lease or agreement period, because then the Stadium Authority is exempt from property taxes. And as you'll see, the A's actually have the option here to buy the stadium and the entire, quote, project, if that's what we're calling it, after the 30-year lease period is over. Section E here, or paragraph E, or whatever E is. The land on which the Major League Baseball Stadium project is to be located must be dedicated to the Stadium Authority at no cost to the Stadium Authority before the issuance of bonds pursuant to Section 34 of this act, or simultaneously with the issuance of those bonds, provided, however, that the Major League Baseball team may have the option to repurchase the Major League Baseball Stadium project at the end of the lease period, including any extensions at a cost reasonably determined by the Board of Directors. So there you go. And that's after, obviously, a 30-year non-relocation commitment and a 30-year agreement with this Stadium Authority and all the bonds being paid off. So, again, I tried to be simple but different, not give you all the obvious stuff that maybe you've heard, some of the facts and figures and monetary amounts. I just wanted to dive into some of the stuff that just on the surface I read through. And look, I'm Mr. Sports Broadcaster, not legal expert. I highly encourage you to follow Tabitha on Twitter, on social media. She's done a great job there. Give her the questions that are burning in your brain, because she is way more equipped to answer them than I am about the procedure of this situation. But I just wanted to pass along everything that I've seen, everything that I've gone over, everything that I've learned in these 44 pages and the process that goes with it. It's complicated. We'll still keep asking questions, and we'll see if this, in fact, is maybe voted on by the end of the regular session, which is completed on June 5th. About a week away. Could have an answer on this. Could have an answer on Las Vegas for the A's or not. You made it here all the way to the end of the video. I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll help me out. And also, don't forget, subscribe to this channel so that I can see you next time.